We wrote a game for Esther and others many, many years ago that shifted their vibrational point of attraction about money dramatically. We said to each of them, find a way to get $100. You can do that, and put it in your pocket and walk around with it in your pocket, and notice all day, every day, what you could spend it on if you really wanted to.
Oh, I read that.
Don't spend it. Just walk around with it in your pocket. I could have that. I could have one of those shoes. I could have that. I could have that. I could have that. Spend it all day long. I could have that. Ooh, 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 ooh. I could have that. I could have that. Because as you vibrationally spend that all day long, you get into this mode of feeling about your prosperity differently. And before you know it, money is flowing into your experience. You've got to find a way to look at money differently. Then we said, get a columnar pad, spread it out, and put your biggest debt over here. What is your biggest debt? Usually a house payment?
School loans.
It's all right. Rather than your biggest debt, let us ask you in terms of your biggest monthly expenditure. What's the biggest one?
My rent.
Housing. So put whatever that is in that left-hand column. Then what's next? Car?
Mm-hmm.
Then what's next?
Utility, probably the light bill.
So stretch them out across there. How many columns do you think there are? House, or vehicles,
Probably about 10.
Utilities, so forth. And on there somewhere are school loans. But so spread it all out from the largest to the smallest. And then look at it and say to yourself, these are my commitments. These are my intentions. This is my responsibility, is not a bad word. It is my plan to do my best to take care of all of these. So just kind of sit with that a little bit. And then say to yourself, and this one that's way over here on the end, what is it?
School loans.
What's the one right before that?
Light bill.
And what's the one right before that?
Car.
So you're doing all right. So the one that is the smallest monthly outgo, say to yourself, I'm not only going to pay what I have agreed to, I'm going to pay that one double. What is that payment?
Probably $100.
And there's nothing that you pay that's less than $100 each month?
No. Not, well, yeah, like gym membership, stuff like that. But yeah, no.
I'm going to pay that twice every month. I'm going to pay it twice. Now what happens to you is it shifts the way you're looking at it, because now instead of just keeping up, you're actually doing twice as well as you said you would. That shifts something in you.
Mm-hmm.
So what begins to happen is that before long, the reason that we were fudging a little bit on that one is because that one is a large one, and it's going to take a while for it to go away. Your gym membership is something that is ongoing. It's a sort of pay as you go.
Right.
But if there's something like a credit card
Right.
that's $30 or $40 or $50 a month, and you pay it twice, in time, and usually in a much shorter time than you realize, it is going to go away. And little by little by little by little, these columns shrink up. And so what happens is you begin to develop for yourself, at the same time as directly following your adjustment in the way you feel vibrationally, what begins to happen is your discretionary income becomes much, much more. Now your discretionary income becomes much, much more for a different reason than you think. Many think, as we play this game, that it's just a game of paying that off so you've got more money, and paying that off so you've got more money, and right away you think, oh, that's going to take way too long. But what happens long before you've paid that one off, or that one off, or that one off, or that one off, because of the shift in the way you feel about what you're putting out, because instead of resenting it, you're playing a game. Instead of being behind, you feel ahead. In other words, your vibration shifts, and more money starts coming in from everywhere.
Right.
Money comes in from everywhere. Money you didn't even know you had coming to you comes. People find mistakes that they've been making. People give you money that you didn't even know was coming. Things begin to happen because in that now new discovery of a new receptive mode, the ideas begin to flow to you too. You start turning thoughts into more money. It's law. You feel different, don't you?
Yeah, well, what I've realized is that what you've confirmed for me is that that's what I've been doing. That's why I pay $100 a month because my credit card is $50, and I've been doing that. So what you've helped me confirm is that I'm there, but I'm not allowing myself, and I'm not appreciating the space that I'm in. So if the fear is, I'm not.
You can't focus at what you don't want without
Yeah.
feeling negative emotion, because your inner being will never focus at what you don't want. You're doing better than you've been allowing yourself to believe that you're doing.
Absolutely.
And if you can leave everybody else out of the equation, in other words, somebody else, even somebody who lives with you, might be looking at it differently than you are. You can't let that affect your vibration. Although in the same way that it's not easy not to let a bill affect your vibration, it's not easy to not let somebody else that is feeling strongly about something affect your vibration. But that's what your true currency is. That's what you're cashing in all the time. That is your pathway to the abundance that you seek. A positive attitude is the pathway to the abundance that you seek. And it's not an iffy pathway. It's a sure pathway. And it's not a long, slow, hard pathway. It's a much easier, smooth pathway. You just got to find some way of changing the way you feel about it, which means you cannot face reality, which means others are going to say to you, hey, you got to get your head out of the clouds. And you say, no, that's where my vibrational currency is.
Right.
That's where my abundance is. I have to focus in a way that I feel prosperous. So then you ask about spending money that you don't quite have yet. In other words, because you like that feeling of prosperity. There isn't anything wrong. In fact, some of the most dynamic businesses that you are aware of have huge debt. In other words, we're not talking against debt. We're talking about vibrational balance. There isn't anything wrong with you spending your vibrational currency in physical manifestation form before it's actually money on your asset side of your balance sheet. But it is important that you be in that vibrational place where you're not worried about it. So once you get yourself in that stable place, then you can tell what that action that you're considering, how it's going to affect you vibrationally, and that is everything. Now, and this is the most important part of this discussion. You got to get out ahead of it. You've got to get out ahead of it vibrationally. You don't have to get out ahead of it financially. You've got to get out ahead of it vibrationally. Out ahead of everything vibrationally. Don't wait until you're in fear to try to do something to get yourself out of fear. When you wake up in the morning, you are not in fear until you think the thoughts that you were thinking yesterday that lower your vibration. So get out ahead of it. Get out ahead of it by caring about how you feel. And then the two ways that we were saying that you'll know how you're doing, what your vibration is, how it's turning out, and how you feel. Now, how you feel will be dominant. How I feel, how I feel, how I feel. You know those people that just feel steady and solid. They're just not worried about stuff. Mm-hmm. And you know those people that worry about everything even when they really don't have anything to worry about. Mm-hmm. You see them all around you. You know them up close. That tightwad won't spend anything. It's like he's worried about everything. He should spend his money. We say he should do whatever he wants and you should mind your own business. Just do whatever it is you need to do in order to keep yourself feeling better. Now, do you feel better?
I do.
There's a little edge in that. I do feel better about this. So now, if you feel better about it, milk that just a little bit. Get that momentum going. I'm doing all right. And I'm pleased with what we're earning or what's translating. And we'd like to say to you that the true earning that you're doing is not what you're doing through your action. The true earning that you're doing is what you're doing with your vibrational balance. It's your vibrational balance. And you got to know that. You've got to know that, because look at the difference in what people around you are receiving in terms of money. You can't explain it through their action, can you? You've all got the same 24 hours in a day, and you're all limited to that degree of what you can do, and yet the difference in what people are receiving is enormous. You've got to understand that they're not earning through their action, and they're not earning through their education, and they're not earning through their context, and they're not earning through some way that's immoral or illegal. They're earning through their vibrational translation of the vibrational currency into their bank account. You earn with your attitude. You earn with your mood. That's how you do it. Good?
Thank you. Yes.
Really good.
Really good. Okay. Okay.